Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome back once again on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep. And I am Gaurav Gupta and I have brought for all of you the thing that most of you were waiting for. Now today in this session, we'll be looking at the section-wise time management approach for MAHCET MBA 2022 examination. But before we start with this session, I want to see if I am clearly audible and visible to all of you. All right, great. So, good afternoon, everyone. Varun, Pankaj, Atul, Apurva, Curious Guy, Harshal. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome once again on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep. Varun says that starting of the session, I have a problem with time constraint and face exam pressure. So, due to shortage of time, I tend to do guesswork. Yes. So Varun, this is not only your problem, it happens with a lot of us. So the problem that most of us will face in this examination, first of all, since this is a speed-based examination, we'll have to attempt 200 questions in only 150 minutes. So the problem that you face is faced by a lot of students. What we tend to do is we tend to be a little casual. We tend to spend more amount of time in the initial phase of the paper. Let's say for the first 1.5 hour, or maybe more time than that. For the first 100 minutes, we are lethargic. I'll not call it lethargic, but we take good amount of time to solve every question. So we look every question, we get into every question, we try to solve every question, because of which we tend to waste a lot of time. Okay, we forget the strategies that we have made for ourselves before the examination. We forget about the decision that we have taken of not getting stuck on difficult questions, to pass the difficult questions and just look at the smaller ones and the easier ones. We forget all those strategies that we make before the examination. Okay, so the only point is, good that we have made the strategy. There should be some strategy, there should be some plan that we should work on. But other than working on that plan, implementation of the plan on the D-Day is the most important thing. This is one thing that we tend to forget. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to obviously plan the strategy and work on that strategy from the very first question, from the very first minute of the examination. All right. Okay. So yes, good afternoon again. Now, Jay, you're asking, sir, can you share section-wise marks for JBIMS? Now, Jay, as we all know that in MHCT there are no sectional cutoffs. Okay. Also, uh, based on MHCT 2022, what is going to be the cutoff for JBIMS examination? This cannot be calculated. This cannot be told before the examination has happened, because everything, the cutoffs or the requirement for JBIMS will depend on the level of difficulty of the examination. So we have seen the cutoffs of JBIMS as high as 150 plus. Yes, 150 plus. And I myself have seen the cutoffs being as low as 130, 135 marks. Okay, so it totally depends on the level of difficulty. So if the level of difficulty is higher, the cutoffs will fall. If the level of difficulty is lower, the cutoffs will rise. Okay, so right now, sitting before the examination, I cannot give you any idea about the cutoffs for JBIMS, but definitely you must aim a minimum of 150 marks before the examination. Okay, examination ke time pe, if the paper is difficult, then you must understand by yourself that this time the cutoffs are going to fall. Okay, so please don't be under any kind of pressure as far as the time that you are spending, or the time that you are taking the examination. Okay, चलिए तो स्टार्ट करते हैं. Abhinav, right now you cannot say that the paper is jumbled. There is no formal notification from the side of MHCT. We are expecting a jumbled sequence of questions, but definitely I'll be giving you the strategy as far as section wise paper is concerned. In case we get a jumbled sequence paper, then all strategy that we'll be making will not work, and then I'll give you a very basic strategy that you must go ahead with to tackle the entire paper as a single section. Okay, so don't worry. Sab kuch, like today I'll be going to discuss everything. Okay. Rehan, I am not back yet. I'm still there. Okay. All right. So start karte hain session. So first of all, let us start with the highlights of this examination. Okay. What is the total number of questions? How many minutes are we given? The types of questions, all of it are there on your screen. So we are going to get a total of 200 questions. The mode of the examination is definitely online. The duration of the examination is 150 minutes. Now, we may be getting these 200 questions divided in different sections. Last year it was not the case, but obviously if we are getting different sections, then it will be very comfortable for us to deal with this paper. All right, but there is no sectional time limit for these sections. In case we have different sections, there will not be any kind of sectional time limit. This is what we know from the history of this examination. All right. The type of questions will be MCQ. All the questions are MCQ. Don't have to type your answer in any of the questions. And the number of options that you'll be getting will be 5. All right. Now we don't have any kind of negative marking in this examination. So for every correct answer that you will mark, you will get +1. For every wrong or every unattempted question, you will not get anything and you will not lose anything. This is important. All right. Now, guys, please hold on to your questions. All of you, please hold on to your questions and listen to whatever I am telling you for the first part of this session. And then later on, towards the end, I'll entertain the questions from your side, whatever you have. All right. So these are the highlights of this examination. Now, according to what I think, what a student should do, I have basically allocated these 150 minutes. I have allocated these 150 minutes to the sections that will be getting in MHCT examination, if at all will be getting different sections in this examination. So first of all, let us understand the strategy behind how much time we need to spend on each of the sections of this examination. That will also help us in making a strategy if the examination does not have sections. Okay, so let us start with this. Now the first thing, time to be spent per section. So this is what I feel. Now there is no hard and fast thing that you need to spend this much amount of minutes on each and every question. Okay, so this is as per my feeling. There may be some students, listen to this very carefully. So yesterday I have posted a video, okay, and the students were thinking that I am adamant on these time limits per section. No, we are not adamant here. Okay, so I'll explain you first of all whatever I have written, and then I'll give you like in case you want to deviate from any of these time limits, then you can do that. But what should be the basis of that, we'll discuss. Okay, so in logical reasoning, we have 75 questions. We'll be looking at the different type of questions that we have been getting in previous years. So in logical reasoning, we are expecting a total of 75 questions. Every question is of 1 mark, so definitely maximum marks will be 75. The time at the initial stages of the paper, let's say whenever you will enter the logical reasoning section, I would like to spend 40 to 45 minutes on these 75 questions. I'm not saying that these 75 questions can be finished in 40 to 45 minutes, but in these 40 to 45 minutes, you can pick all the questions which you think that you are comfortable with the topics. So let's say if you are comfortable with blood relations, then you can go ahead and take the questions of blood relations and leaving behind your weak areas. Okay, also if you are average or good in all the topics of logical reasoning, if you are indifferent, I'm not saying that you are strong, you are weak, you are indifferent with all these topics, आपको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि कोई भी question आ जाए, you will be able to deal with that question. So in that case, enter those questions which are less lengthy. छोटे questions हैं, one liner है, two liner है, the questions are not lengthy, because lengthy questions will definitely take more time to read and hence interpret. All right. So understand my psychology behind attempting a paper, which is a speed-based examination. My strategy is, my thinking is to maximize the number of attempts because every question's weightage is the same. So why not attempt the easier ones, the questions which are short, and leave behind those questions which are long or difficult. I'm not asking you to leave these questions altogether. If you have certain amount of time left towards the end of the examination, you can come back to these questions and attempt these leftover ones. All right. So now listen carefully. For logical reasoning, I would like to spend 40 or 45 minutes to start with. Okay. Attempt all those easy questions, the smaller questions, and leave behind the difficult ones. Also, I'll put a threshold. Threshold means एक upper limit होती है. I'll put a threshold of the time that I'll spend on every question. So let's say there is a question which I think is an easy question. Okay, I entered that question, but I got stuck in that question. So there should be an upper limit of the time that I'll be spending on those questions, after which I'll have to come out of those questions and move to the next question. This is a very important thing. So a lot of students who are saying that like time बहुत ज़्यादा लग जाता है and later on towards the end हमें तुक्का मारना पड़ता है, flukes मारने पड़ते हैं. So if you will practice this particular thing, if you will use this particular strategy, come out of the question, let's say after 20 seconds, after 30 seconds. So 20-30 seconds में हमें पता लग जाता है that if we'll be able to do the question or not. So after these 30 seconds, which is a good amount of time as far as the total time concerned, okay, so 30 seconds or 40 seconds, set a particular threshold limit after which will come out, not spend a lot of time on that question, and move to the next question. If you have done a proper analysis of every mock that you have taken, you will find plenty of questions on which you have spent 3 minutes or 4 minutes and leaving those questions unattempted. I don't want that kind of questions to be there in my examination. All right. Now, talking about abstract reasoning, there might be 25 questions of abstract reasoning. And in the practice sessions, you would have seen that there are plenty of questions of abstract reasoning which can be finished in less than 30 seconds. Okay, figure dekha, answer pata lag jata hai in less than 30 seconds. There might be some questions which will take 45 seconds, but generally less than 30 seconds, we can finish a question. So I would like to spend somewhere around 10 to 15 minutes. I have given the range. Okay, so somewhere around 10 to 15 minutes on abstract reasoning. Similarly, on the same lines, for 50-50 questions of VARC and Quant, I will spend somewhere around 30 to 35 minutes. Right? Okay. Now, after this much amount of time, understand that I have not divided the entire 150 minutes in these 4 sections. Okay. So after this much time, after spending this much time on every section, now I think we know about every section. As in, we know about the level of difficulty of the questions that lies in every section. Okay. So this buffer time, I always keep this buffer time in every examination which does not have sectional time limits. So I'll keep a buffer time of somewhere around 20 minutes or 25 minutes towards the end of the examination, and will spend these minutes on the questions or on the section which I believe is easier as compared to the other, or the section in which I am strong. I can maximize the number of attempts and hence maximize my score by devoting these 20 minutes or 25 minutes to one of the sections, or maybe distribute these 20 minutes in 2 of the sections. You can do that every time. All right. So this is, I believe, the perfect strategy for any examination, the perfect strategy to divide the time for any examination that has sections but does not have sectional time limits. All right. Okay. नाउ तुषार, ऐसा कुछ फिक्स नहीं है DI सेट्स कितने आते हैं, सो वेट थोड़ा टाइम. नाउ बाय दिस टाइम तुषार, यू मस्ट नो कि DI सेट्स कितने होने चाहिए. वी आर लेस देन 1 वीक अवे फ्रॉम द एग्जामिनेशन. Okay, but you may expect to get 3 or 4 DI sets in your examination. 5 भी आ सकते हैं. There have been instances when we have seen 5 DI sets. Okay, so somewhere around 3-4 DI sets you can expect in your examination. All right. Okay. Now moving on to like the analysis of one of the examinations of MHCT's previous year paper. Okay, fine. So this is for reference. This is just for reference. Don't think that these are the only questions that you'll be getting. I've taken this particular thing as a reference. Okay, so this was the examination of 2020 where we have seen these type of questions. Now just look at the bottommost row. Bottommost row, total number of questions, definitely they were 50, out of which 26 questions were easy and 17 questions were of medium level of difficulty. The remaining 7 were difficult. So I can see that out of 50 questions, 43 questions lies in the level of difficulty from easy to medium, right? So if 43 questions are medium or below level of difficulty, we can easily attempt 35 to 40 questions in around 35 minutes. I'm giving 1 minute for every question. Generally, there are lots of questions like vocabulary, fill in the blanks, okay, word interchange, phrase replacement, incorrect word usage. So these are some questions in which you will take less than 1 minute to get the answer. RC is somewhere around, like RC definitely takes a good amount of time. There were 15 questions of RC passages out of 50. So RC thoda sa zyada time le sakta hai. So why not save time on these questions and balance it in RC passages, right? So out of these 50 questions, for 2020, a student who could attempt 35 to 37 questions was considered as a good attempt. Okay, I could see 43 easy questions out of 50. So my say is 35 to 40 questions if you are able to attempt, then you will be able to do justice with this section. All right. Okay. Now moving on to the next section, QA section. So we got the questions from almost each and every area. There were questions from numbers, arithmetic, geometry, modern maths, algebra, right? There were number series questions. There were data interpretation questions. So at that time, there were 17 questions on data interpretation, right? Now, again, out of these, I could see 39 questions which were in the range of easy to medium. Okay, 11 questions ये जो भी difficult है, not for everyone they will be difficult. At least out of these 11, you will be able to do 2 or 3 questions. So again, 35 plus genuine attempts was considered as good attempt in the QA section in that particular year. All right. Now moving on to the logical reasoning section. Okay, so logical reasoning sections, you will expect to get questions from almost like all the topics of logical reasoning, starting from arrangements, which will have majority of the questions, blood relations, uh, ranking and scheduling, okay, direction senses, clocks, calendars, coding, decoding. Coding, decoding can be of different types as I've already taken in my sessions. Okay, symbol based comparison, logical inequalities, input output, sequential input output questions. Then there may be questions on verbal reasoning. Verbal reasoning may have syllogisms. Syllogisms के अलावा it may have inference based questions. It may have facts, inference, and judgments, different types of questions. All right. So these are a lot of areas from which you may have questions in LR. LR has good number of questions. We have 75 questions in LR. And after the analysis of this examination, I could find only 18 questions in higher level of difficulty. All right. So these questions, kitne hai ye? 57 questions are in the range of easy to medium. Okay. Now, if we have easy questions in logical reasoning, we will take somewhere around 30 to 45 seconds to finish those questions. A level of difficulty which is of medium, those questions will require slightly above 1 minute to finish. Okay. Also, in logical reasoning, you will find the questions which will appear in sets. So set of 3 questions or 4 questions, like sequential input output. This generally comes in a set of 5 questions. Symbol based comparison, it comes in a set of 5 questions. Sentence based coding decoding, it will generally have a minimum of 3 questions. Okay, so you can save plenty of time in those set based questions. Okay, because once you have decoded, once you have solved the entire set, then it will take very less amount of time for you to answer the questions that will follow. Okay, so after spending somewhere around 45 minutes in logical reasoning, you will be able to attempt, genuinely, like you will be able to attempt 45 questions minimum. Okay, if you have made your speed, right? Now moving towards the last section, analytical reasoning section. Yes, again, these questions will require less amount of time. Solving की requirement नहीं होती. You just need to catch the pattern and mark the answer. So I believe that spending somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes should enable you to at least attempt 18 to 20 questions in this section. Out of 4 sections, I believe this is the easiest section. We don't have to study a lot, and these questions have higher return on investment. Okay, we invest less time, we get more marks, right? So these are the 4 different sections that I want you to attempt in this particular manner, right? Then the 20 or 25 minutes, the buffer time that we have kept for ourselves, remember to keep this buffer time. So buffer time that we have kept for ourselves can be spent in any of these sections accordingly as per the level of difficulty or your strength area. All right. Now, after discussing these things, you would have understood my logic. So my logic is you must see the entire paper. I'm not saying solve the entire paper. You must see the entire paper in somewhere around 125 to 130 minutes. Okay. For most of the questions, you would have decided to skip them. Fine, no problem. You are filtering the questions and you are keeping the easier ones for yourself. Definitely, majority of the questions are easy to medium level of difficulty, which can be attempted easily, which are doable in this paper. Okay, so in first 120, 125 minutes, you should be able to see each and every question so that you have these 20, 25 minutes buffer time in which you can maximize the number of attempts. All right. Okay. Now moving ahead, talking about the sequence in which the sections need to be attempted. So ये question मेरे से बहुत सारे students ने पूछा है, sir, which section should I start with? Which section should I attempt like in the second order, third, fourth, and so on. Okay. Now friends, according to me, it totally depends on you. Some of you would like to start with the strongest area. Some of you would like to start with the weakest area. I'm totally indifferent. Okay. It totally depends on how you have made a strategy for yourself, how you have done the practice for mock papers, and use the same strategy that you have devised for yourself. It's totally up to you. You want to start with analytical reasoning, you want to start with logical reasoning. So, in whichever sequence you are comfortable, you may go ahead with that sequence. There is no particular sequence in which you need to attempt these. All right. Okay. Now, some of the key points that we need to remember. Key points need to remember. So, number 1, attempt all the questions as they come. Okay. I'll tell you the meaning of this entire thing. Okay, so let me first of all cover up some of the pointers. So attempt all the questions as they come. Don't leave any question unattempted while you are going through the questions. Okay, what do I mean with that? So generally what we do, question number 1, I decided to solve it. I got the answer. I marked the answer. Question number 2, in the similar manner, got the answer and I marked. Question number 3, I feel that the question is a little difficult. Listen carefully to this. Okay, if you will follow it properly, then only you will be able to basically gain out of this strategy. Okay, so question number 3, let's say you decided to leave that question. So what I'll do is I'll mark the fluke on that question. Okay, I'll mark the fluke on that question because I'm going to leave that question. I have no idea about that question. Okay, so if in the extra time, the time will permit, I will never come back to this question because I have no knowledge about that question. I don't want to spend time on this. So I'll mark my fluke simultaneously and leave it and move to the next question. Now let's say next question number 4. I want to leave it right now, but I certainly want to come back to this question if the time will permit. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll mark the fluke on that question. Also, we'll mark this question as a bookmark. Okay, so there is a facility of bookmarking a question. I'll bookmark that question and we'll move on to the next question. Are you understanding? So I'm not leaving any question unattempted. So if I don't want to come back to the question, I'll just attempt it and move. If I want to come back to that question again, then I'll mark the answer of that question and will bookmark that question so that I will filter those questions which I have to revisit if the time will permit. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm marking all the questions. I'm not leaving anything unattempted. So why I'm saying that? Because we think that we'll come back to these unattempted questions in the last 5 minutes. No, we will not be able to do that. So don't think that you will mark all the unattempted questions in the last 5 minutes. Why? Simple reason. So reason number 1, you may not get time at the end. So ऐसा हो सकता है कि obviously not every time our strategy will work, not every time will be having buffer time, or towards the last minutes we are still solving the questions and we don't get time to come back. Okay, so we may not get time to come back and mark these answers, or you may forget to go back to unattempted questions in the heat of the moment. 148 minutes over ho chuke hain, 149 minutes, the clock is still ticking and you have good number of questions left. Okay, so in the heat of the moment you might forget to come back to the unattempted questions. Now since there is no negative marking, one should attempt all 200 questions. One should mark the answer for all the 200 questions. You cannot leave any question unattempted. All right, also one reason may be this is an online examination and you are marking the flukes in the last few minutes and the paper gets submitted automatically. ऑनलाइन एग्जाम है, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता ना हम एग्जामिनर को बोले कि सर हमें 2 मिनट और दे दीजिए, 1 मिनट और दे दीजिए, ऐसा नहीं होता. This is an online examination and paper will get submitted automatically and you might leave some questions unattempted and that is sheer loss. Okay, so considering all these things, you need to follow this particular strategy as well. Also, it will save good amount of time. You don't have to go back to the questions because while reading a question, you have already visited that question at the beginning. Okay, so without wasting any time, you just mark the question's answer and move to the next question, right? So I'm just telling you what I feel, what will be good for all of you. It's totally up to you to like use this strategy or not. But before going to the examination, please practice this particular strategy on 2 or 3 mock papers. We still have time, we can take 2 or 3 mocks. All right, okay. Now finally, a friendly advice to all of you: do not lose your confidence during the examination. It may happen that you will not be able to attempt 5-6 questions continuously. Okay, 5-6 questions ऐसे आ जाएं जो बहुत tough हैं and you will have to leave those questions. Don't worry at all. In case it happens, then it's good for you that you are filtering all the difficult ones and now you are left with the easy questions to attempt. All right, so please do not lose your confidence, right? So this is what I've mentioned. If you are unable to answer some questions, that means the difficult ones have passed and you have filtered the easier questions to be done now. One last thing, do not waste time on any question. All right, make sure that you have a threshold limit, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, after which you'll have to come out of the question and don't get stuck on that one. All right, now the next thing is, if in case the paper has jumbled questions. Okay, the last thing, right? So अगर jumbled questions हैं, so whatever we have discussed up till now, I'll not give you a lecture on this. ऐसी कोई different strategy नहीं है. Now strategy different तब होती है जब हमारा aim different होता है. Okay, so our aim is to maximize the number of questions. Okay, so whatever sectional time limits that I have told you to spend, whatever sectional times that I have told you to spend on each and every section, from that you can find out how much time you need to spend on every question. So let's say if the paper is jumbled, first question it came as a set of reasoning. Okay, now in a set of reasoning, we know that we should not be spending 4 to 5 minutes on a set of 5 questions. Okay, so try to finish that particular set in around 3.5 minutes. Understand by after entering the set, will you be able to solve this in 3 to 4 minutes? If in case you feel that you are unable to solve it in 3 to 4 minutes, then come out of it and move to the next question. Okay, so in reasoning, I can say that in a set of 4 to 5 questions, the time to be spent is 4 to 5 minutes in total, right? Similarly, in quant question, we may spend somewhere around 45 seconds to 1 minute because questions ज़्यादा lengthy नहीं होते, right? In analytical reasoning question, we can spend somewhere around 30 seconds to 45 seconds. In verbal ability, we can spend less than 45 seconds if it is a non-RC question. We can spend on an average of 1 minute per question for an RC passage. So RC passage, if it has 4 questions, we can read the entire passage in 2 or 2.5 minutes and then spend 30 to 45 seconds on every question, right? So this is what we need to understand while attempting a paper which has jumbled questions. Also, now consider the entire paper of 200 questions as a single section. Okay, so that means you will have to go through, or you must go through all these 200 questions in around 125 minutes or 130 minutes, so that you still have those 20 minutes buffer time. And since you have seen all the paper, you have bookmarked some of the questions, so these 20 minutes can be spent on all the questions that you have bookmarked. All right, fine. So this is the entire strategy that we must use in order to maximize our number of attempts. All right, okay. So any general question, if anybody would like to ask, please go ahead and ask me. Again, the strategy that I have told you might not work for everyone, but definitely the strategies that I have told to my students have worked for majority of the students. But you need to work on this strategy. ऐसा नहीं है कि आज का सेशन अटेम्प्ट किया and directly exam point पे उसको जाके attempt कर लिया. No, you need some kind of practice, some amount of practice in between the session and the actual examination, and then only the strategy will work. All right, okay. So friends, that's all from my side as far as the strategy for this examination is concerned. Okay, so Mansi, if you're asking starting now, try to take 2 mocks, at least 2 mocks and maximum 3 mocks. Okay, so if your examination is on 23rd, don't take any mock on 22nd. 22nd examination कोई भी mock नहीं देना है. Shraddha, you cannot do anything. You are afraid of jumbled paper, so you cannot do anything. This is for every student. No, Killer B. Puzzles should not be leave behind. In case you are strong in puzzles, then you must attempt those puzzles. Otherwise, if a puzzle is tough, you may leave that. Okay. So puzzles like a single question puzzles hoti hain. You can spend 10 seconds, 15 seconds, understand that puzzle. If you are unable to proceed, leave it there and then. 10 to 15 seconds. Shreya, you're saying unable to solve quant. So Shreya, you needed good amount of practice for quant. Now, in case you are unable to solve quant, so you can just attempt some basic questions of arithmetic from quant and then spend rest of the time on other sections, other areas. Yes, Jay, Sydenham College is a very good college. Shaik, you want to increase your score from 120 to 140. So for that, you need to practice, understand all the concepts, all the logics should be there on your tips, and you'll also have to increase your speed for that. No, Sumit, I'm not saying that puzzles should be skipped. No, not at all. If in case you are able to solve those puzzles in like understand the puzzle in around 10 to 15 seconds, fine, otherwise leave them. What are some must things that should be done in the remainder days? So Shushti, I have already told you. So अब और क्या करना है? Whatever logics, whatever topics are there, so you would have made a formula copy for you for quant. So keep revising the formulas. Solve one or two RC passage on daily basis. Okay, practice all the areas like 4 5 4 5 questions of all the areas of logical reasoning, and solve 5 to 10 questions of analytical reasoning on every day. Nanda, getting rough sheet allowed? Yes, yes, yes. Nanda, after getting a rough sheet, you are allowed to write formulas, but there are some examiners which will not allow you to do that until and unless the paper starts. Okay? So you need to be careful. If the examiner will ask you not to write anything, don't write anything. Okay? Abhijit, it's difficult to come out of question as we invested time. So Abhijit, so this is what makes a difference between the person who will score high and the person who will score low. So if you have control on yourself, you are able to come out of the question, then you'll be able to save time and hence gain out of it. Diluted gaming, where to give mock? So you can purchase any of the mock test series. Yes, Killer B, you may write the positions of A to Z before the examination. Tushar, I have told you the strategy. Need to increase the speed, need to practice more, okay, need to spend more time on the studies. Okay, now since you are scoring 70 at present, it might be a little difficult for you to reach 120, 130 marks, but you can always devote time and reach to this score. Swagat, I cannot tell you like on 100, 510. Let's say if on that day you are lucky and you get the questions from your area of strength, then you may score 130, 140 marks as well. Sanskar, All India mock, I cannot arrange myself. I can communicate this thing to my team, and this is the decision of the management. Harsh, again, I have told other students as well the strategy to increase the score. Okay, now these are the last moments, last few days, so your score might not increase drastically, but still you can work on that direction. Curious guy, you cannot take rough sheets in the examination. You will be getting the rough sheets from them. Killer B, last year we have seen all the questions from a particular set to appear together, but there were some instances as well in one of the slots. I also noticed like one of the question separately. Okay, so anything can happen. Okay, Chetan, good question. So Chetan is asking, should we attempt non-set questions first and then attempt the set one? So Chetan or other students, you can do anything. You can keep attempting the questions as they come, but try not to attempt set-based questions in the last 10 minutes. Last के 10 minutes में किसी भी set-based questions में enter मत करना, because if you will enter that set and unable to solve, these 10 minutes will be wasted. So in the last 10 minutes, try to solve independent questions. Shitanshu, it totally depends on your strength. You can attempt, I don't know what type of questions are your strength. So to increase your marks in English, you can attempt the questions as per your strength. Yes, Abhijit, in case some big questions have only one question, you must leave those questions for the time being. Shreya, at this point in time, you cannot match the scores with a percentile. It will happen after the examination. Yes, so percentile versus score, you cannot know before the examination. It totally depends on the level of difficulty, that at what score you will get what percentile. All right. Okay. So friends, I believe I've answered to most of your queries. So that is all from my side. All India open mock for CAT is still live till 21st of August. So take this mock for the real CAT experience, know your strengths and weaknesses, and identify your strategy for CAT. CAT 2022 comprehensive program, in case anybody is looking for that. So you may join one of the batches that we have for all of you. All the details that you will get in this particular batch are there on your screen. Please do like this session, comment, share, and subscribe. So anyone who hasn't liked this session, please do hit the like button, comment, share, and subscribe, and press the bell icon to get all the notifications of our upcoming sessions. Yes, so some of the students were asking about the session of calendars. So clocks का session अभी मैं आज सुबह ले चुका हूँ, आज afternoon में ले चुका हूँ. I have already conducted the session on clocks, just 2 hours before this session started. For session on calendars, we can meet tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be conducting a session on calendars. You can follow us on Instagram, subscribe our YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep, press the bell icon, like the Facebook page, join our Telegram channel, download the app from Google Play. That's all, friends, from my side. All the best for your examination. Have a good day.